The year was 1999. It was the year of transition and anticipation for the new millennium. Bill Clinton was getting impeached, Napster was a thing, and the Y2K scare, or the millennial bug, had the whole world in a panic. It was the birth of the digital age. 1999 was a huge year in pop culture entertainment, from music to video games, hit movies like The Matrix taking the world by storm, and the highly anticipated / disappointing Star Wars prequel, The Phantom Menace. And of course there was TV, where shows like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Family Guy, West Wing, Futurama, The Sopranos, and Freaks and Geeks all made their debuts this year. As for kids programming, PBS would launch its 24-hour channel PBS Kids, and Disney Channel, while not a particularly memorable year for their TV programming, it definitely was an iconic year for their DC original movies. Xenon Girl of the 21st Century. Enough said. And we can't forget about Cartoon Network, which in addition to their Friday night marquee block, Cartoon Fridays, and their late night block for Toonami launching this year, they would also debut 3 new shows: Mike Lewinog, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and Ed, Edd n Eddy, the longest running CN original. No, I said CN original. Not to mention tons of shows for Saturday morning on Disney's One Saturday Morning for ABC, Fox Kids, and Kids WB. And now we come to Nickelodeon, the first network for kids. As I mentioned before, 1998 was when I first started watching Nickelodeon, and this era is probably my earliest memories of the channel. I was a Cartoon Network kid through and through, but Nickelodeon also made an impact on me growing up. Despite me being late to the game, and 1999, as we all know, was a huge year for the channel, as they celebrated their 20th anniversary, and they celebrated in a big way. It was heavily advertised with special promos, bumpers, and also the Nickelodeon Birthday Marathon, featuring episodes of their most important shows up to that point. And believe it or not, the last time you would see classic shows like Double Dare and Guts be on the main channel. They would be moved to Nick's new spin-off channel, Nick Gas, which is sports-oriented and featured reruns on Nick's famous game shows, Double Dare, Legends of Hidden Temple, the works. Another channel launched this year was Noggin, a joint venture between Nickelodeon and Sesame Workshop, owners of Sesame Street. It featured a variety of original shows and reruns of Nick Jr. programs, and Sesame Workshop shows, Sesame Street, The Electric Company, Ghost Rider, 321 Contact, etc. And we can't forget about Nickelodeon's golden child, or children, the Rugrats. 1999 would turn out to be a big year for Rugrats. Previous year's Rugrats movie was the first non-Disney animated film to gross $100 million, and Nick and Classy Shupo were already working on a sequel. I plan to do a retrospective of all 3 movies, so keep an eye out for that. One of the more notable additions to the movie was a new character, Tommy's little brother Dill. He became a regular on a TV show this year with the episode Chucky's Duckling / It's a Dog's Life, the most watched episode at this point. Not to mention there was toys, games, home videos, marathons, a stage show, and snack foods.
Parties, Rugrats, fruit snacks, and fruit rolls. Double flavor punch for your tongue.
There was even an hour-long TV movie that aired this year, Runaway Reptar, where the babies imagine themselves in a Reptar movie they're watching at the drive-thru. The second most popular Nicktoon at the time would arguably be Cat Dog. It entered its 2nd season this year with the introduction of a new character, Lola Caracola. And I remember there was just as much merch for this show as it was for Rugrats. I loved both of these shows growing up, and anything with the names on it I had to have. I even remember getting the stretch cat dog toy on my 6th birthday this year. For younger viewers, there was Nick Jr., with the most popular show on the block being Blue's Clues. They had merch selling like hotcakes. Baloo was a balloon at this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Parade. Even celebrities appeared on the show. Choir shows like Maisie, Kipper, and Franklin found themselves on the schedule, but the new show that made its debut was Little Bill, based on the children's books by Bill Cosby. It was about a little black boy in Philadelphia and the many adventures he has using his imagination. It ran for a good while, running until 2004, and was in reruns until Cosby's many allegations came to light. It's a shame too. It was a charming show for little kids, but because of its monster creator, now Nickelodeon is more content with pretending it never existed. Nick at Night saw reruns of more 70s classics like The Jeffersons, Maude, and WKRP in Cincinnati. and also 60s classics like Leave It to Beaver. I remember there was even a marathon the week of June 7th through 11th called All-Star Family, which featured episodes of Leave It to Beaver, The Brady Bunch, All the Family, The Wonder Years, and oddly enough, Rugrats. May 1st was the night of the 12th Annual Kids' Choice Awards, hosted by Rosie O'Donnell, with performances by 3 Story, Britney Spears, TLC, and NSYNC. These old KCAs are fun to go back and rewatch, because in a way they're strange little time capsules to what was popular back then in terms of hottest movies, TV shows, games, and celebs. At one point, Rosie urges the audience to go to AOL keyword Nickelodeon. When was the last time you heard of that? It's also cool to see actual kids getting to participate in the festivities and presenting the award with some of the celebs. The highlight of the show for me is Kenan Thompson in a miniature golf rivalry with Macho Man Randy Savage, and the two becoming friends.
No matter who wins, it's been a wild, wild ride. Oh yeah.
Hey guys, I really need to make a pit stop.
Hey, keep pushing back there.
Okay. This is Michelle Cracksburn from the No Holds Barred Kids Choice 99 Mega Mini Golfomania. But now it's time for the Kids Choice Awards! Yeah!
We miss you, Michelle. But of course, the most memorable thing about this year's KCAs was afterwards, 6-year-old me and every other kid watching was introduced to a certain yellow sponge.
He shows a real hoot. He lives in a fruit. SpongeBob SquarePants big sneak peek right after Kids' Choice.
Pilot of SpongeBob SquarePants was shown as a sneak preview following the KCAs, and the series will debut in July. The show about a yellow sponge and his friends in the underwater city of Bikini Bottom has become Nickelodeon's biggest franchise to date. It has a total of 15 seasons, a string of movies, video games, several spin-offs, and became a merchandising juggernaut. SpongeBob now is in the same leagues of other classic characters like Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny, classic characters that will be appreciated for generations to come. But I remember being there the night it premiered, and how it started off as a small show that aired on Saturday mornings that quickly blew up as a phenomenon. In 1999 would see the release of Rocket Power by Classy Shupo, about 4 friends who were into extreme sports, like surfing and skateboarding, while also dealing with everyday life situations a kid would go through. It's such a product of the times where everything in the late 90s and early 2000s had to be extreme, but it still has likable enough characters to say it's a fun, nostalgic time. It had a couple of TV movies and some bits of merchandise here and there, and ended in 2004. Nick Flicks debuted this year, where Nick aired a series of movies and specials similar to Cartoon Network's Cartoon Theater, starting with an airing of 1993's Pre-Hysteria. I remember watching a few movies on this block, like Tiny Toons How I Spent My Summer Vacation and My Brother the Pig. Does anyone remember that? I can't be the only one. Probably one of my favorite things to come out this year was the Kenan and Kel Cousin Skeeter crossover, The Who I'm Wild Wild West. I loved both of these shows growing up, so you can imagine how mind-blowing it was for me. It has Skeeter, Bobby, and Nina meeting Kenan and Kel at a dude ranch as they try to find buried treasure. I haven't seen this episode since it premiered, and I watched it on YouTube for this video twice. I still think it's a lot of fun. There were times I laughed hard, mostly due to Kel's antics, and it's fun seeing these characters interact and work off each other. The Saturday night block Snick was revamped into Snick House, with a schedule consisting of Rugrats, All That Season 6, the final season with most of the original cast, and 2 new shows, The Amanda Show and 100 Deeds of Eddie McDowell. The Amanda Show was the second spin-off of All That, a sketch show starring Amanda Bynes, with memorable skits like Judge Trudy, The Girls' Room, and Moody's Point, a satire of Dawson's Creek. Amanda was one of those once-in-a-lifetime young talents. She was funny, she had great timing and screen presence. There was a reason she was everywhere in the early 2000s. But looking back as an adult and learning about her mental issues and knowing what went on behind the scenes with other cast members, as highlighted in the documentary Quiet on Set, it makes this a very hard show to revisit. Trust me, it'd be disingenuous to not bring this up at all while talking about the show. I have my own issues with the Quiet on Set documentary. I won't get into here, I'll just say, I hope the victims get justice and peace of mind. And there's not a hell hot enough for Jason and Brian. Let's leave it at that. Okay, back to the fun stuff. 100 Deeds of Eddie McDowell had a creative premise. A high school bully played by Seth Green gets cursed by a drifter, played by the late Richard Mole, and he gets turned into a dog. He'll be human again once he performs 100 good deeds, and the one person whose help he needs is the last person he bullied. I remember watching the show and liking it, though I don't think I sticked around to find out if he turned back into a human. And judging how it aired for 40 episodes, I assume he didn't. Oh yeah, in the second season, for whatever reason they switched out the original theme song for Who Let the Dogs Out by Baha Men, for no reason other than it was popular at the time. Acquired shows at this time was the Ace Ventura Pet Detective cartoon and the Brothers Flub. Don't remember it? Well, join the club. But the biggest acquired show that would leave Nickelodeon this year was Looney Tunes on Nickelodeon, after an impressive 11-year run on the channel. The Time Warner/Turner merger would lead to an end of other networks broadcasting the classic Looney Tunes shorts, as they would be exclusive to Turner-owned networks only, e.g. Boomerang and Cartoon Network. The following year, the Looney Tunes ended its long run on ABC, airing for the final time on August 2000. Meanwhile, the AOL-Time Warner merger became one of the most infamous failed mergers in history, and CN dropped the classic shorts altogether in 2004, one of the downsides of the City era, opting for home media releases instead. Luckily, Warner Brothers would never have a bad merger again.
You'll be sorry!
Memorable blocks and marathons this year: Henry and June's Nicktoons Summer Jam, 101% Whiz Bang, Nicktoon-a-thon, Double Play, You Pick Friday, The Big Holiday Help, and Nickelodeon's Holiday Stocking Stuffers. One of the more interesting events this year was Smell-O-Vision, where kids at home can smell aromas from their favorite Nicktoons by using scratch and sniff cards found in Post cereals and Lunchables. Strangely, Cartoon Network had a similar gimmick early this year with Smelly Telly. Nickelodeon will start doing TV movies this year, which will continue for years to come. We already talked about Runaway Reptar, but there was also the Journey of Alice Strange movie, Alien Vacation, which will rerun the following year. So that was Nickelodeon in 1999. It was hectic to make sure everything was correct and nothing was left out, but it was a lot of fun going back and watching some of these old shows and specials. Plus, whatever I missed, I'm sure Greg from Knickknacks will go into better detail than I could. Do you have fond memories of Nickelodeon from this year? Let me know in the comments. I'm 47 Cartoon Guy, and I gotta fly. I don't talk enough about my nostalgia for the cable channel Nickelodeon. Maybe it was because I was introduced to it later on in my childhood when me and my family moved to Virginia in 1998. Or maybe it's because Cartoon Network admittedly had the bigger impact on me. But as a child who grew up with the network during its silver age, I think one of the most memorable years of Nickelodeon during my time was 2000. There was a lot of stuff that happened that year, and we're gonna go through it all. Show debuts, events, specials, movies. So let's not waste any time. Let's get started.
In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy 2000!
January 1st, 2000 marked the beginning of the new millennium. After Y2K turned out to be a hoax, everyone's minds were at ease as they looked forward to a new decade filled with endless possibilities. There was a lot going on this year, such as the US presidential election between George W. Bush and Al Gore, Vermont becoming the third state in the US to legalize civil unions to same-sex couples, the much publicized international custody battle of Elian Gonzalez, the last new Peanuts comic strip released in February after the death of creator Charles Schulz. The 2000 Summer Olympics are held in Sydney, Australia, and Time Warner will merge with online service provider American Online, AOL for short, and will later go down in history as one of Time Warner, now Warner Media's, disastrous company mergers. But like I said, one of them. Debuting this year, PlayStation 2, Pepsi Twist, DeviantArt, Windows 2000, The Wonder Ball, and Harry Potter and a Goblet of Fire. Dominating the charts this year, Britney Spears, Faith Hill, Destiny's Child, Santana and the Product GMB, Matchbox 20, and Cisco. Popular memes this year, The Hamster Dance and What's Up? Meanwhile in theaters, audiences were being entertained by Russell Crowe and Gladiator, Julia Roberts as Erin Brockovich, Pokemon the Movie, Castaway, X-Men, Scary Movie, and Ron Howard's The Grinch. In video games, we saw the debuts of The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Jet Set Radio, The Sims, and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. Now let's get to television, where shows like Malcolm in the Middle, CSI, Dark Angel, and Gilmore Girls debuted, and a popular trend that would unfortunately define the whole decade, reality TV. Survivor also debuted this year and became one of the biggest shows at the time. It was parodied and referenced to Kingdom Come.
You are like this close to getting voted off the island.
As for kids programming, Cartoon Network will debut their 9th original cartoon, Sheep in a Big City, and Disney Channel will introduce us to Shia LaBeouf in the tween sitcom Even Stevens, as well as shows for Saturday morning on the broadcast networks, such as ABC's Buzz Lightyear Star Command and Teacher's Pet, and the WB's Static Shock and Jackie Chan Adventures, while PBS had a whole block called the Bookworm Bunch. And then there's Nickelodeon, the first network aimed exclusively for children of all ages, with their long line of Nicktoons, sitcoms, specials, and more. They ended the 90s celebrating their 20th anniversary and introducing Spongebob, who will become their longest running franchise. And as the 2000s approach, it was time to show what else they had up their sleeves. They kicked off the new year with the special Nickelodeon. This was a 5-hour commercial-free documentary that aired the whole day on Nick and sister channel Noggin, and featured kids all over the world as they talk about their hopes and dreams for the future. Watching this at a young age, it does make you realize how kids have different experiences growing up, and listening to how optimistic and passionate they were about the future, it makes you feel awful how much everything is screwed up. All that misguided optimism. One of the new shows that debuted was Slime Time Live. This was a game show hosted by Dave Azer and usually aired as filler between shows. Fun fact, it was one of the last Nick shows filmed at Nickelodeon Studios at Universal Studios, Florida. And in it, the contestant would do special challenges that usually ended up with him or her getting pie to the face and slime. Lots and lots of slime. There are also interactive activities too. My favorite being a match game with various Nicktoons characters, and if you were at home would call in to try and make a match and win a prize. If they got it wrong, Dave would get a pie to the face. Other highlights include the Big Shabuzi, Super Sloppy Slime Off, and Celebrity Guests, usually promoting something or performing. The show would air until 2004. The classic show Double Dare would get a reboot. Around this time, Double Dare 2000, though unfortunately no Mark Summers, instead being hosted by voice actor Jason Harris Katz, with all new sets and bigger physical challenges, like the Triple Dare Challenge and the Obstacle Course, known here as the Slopsicle Course. Unfortunately, this incarnation would be short-lived and be canceled that same year, and survived reruns until 2001. But if you weren't impressed by 2000, you could still watch reruns of the original on Nick Gas. Nickelodeon Movies released their 4th film, Snow Day, which was originally a planned Adventures of Pete and Pete movie, but scrapped into a standalone story. The story, as the title suggests, is about a snow day where everything seems to be happening. A weatherman tries to get people to watch his station, a nerdy dweeb tries to impress a popular girl, and a girl and her friends try to extend the snow day. It starred Chris Elliott, a young Josh Peck, the girl from Max Keeble's Big Move, and Chevy Chase, who clearly just wanted to get his paycheck. The movie did okay at the box office and is now pretty much forgotten. But hey, it kickstarted Haku's singing career, so there's that. Perhaps Nickelodeon movie's biggest hit that year was the Rugrats movie sequel, Rugrats in Paris, and Nickelodeon promoted this movie all year, both on air and online. If you had the Rugrats Discover America VHS, you could see a featurette at the end of the video showing the making of the film. The film was released November 17, 2000, to popular reviews, as well as a decent box office, and many Rugrats fans declared this the best of the 3 films. I have a personal history of this film, and I plan to cover it in a retrospective later on, so I'll stop here. In 1999, Nickelodeon's parent company Viacom bought CBS for $35.6 billion, and with that, the Nickelodeon shows became exclusive to CBS's new revamped Saturday morning schedule, starting in 2000, with Nick Jr. on CBS, and 2 years later, more Nick shows were added to the block, but only ones that met the EI requirements, so no Cat Dog or Invader Sim. In addition, the Rugrats movie made its debut on CBS in November 2001. Starting in March this year, Nickelodeon would show retyped credits on the left side of the screen, which promos would play, mirroring broadcasts and cable networks, and this same practice is still used on the channel to this day. Debuting this year was the Canadian teen drama Caitlin's Way, about a rebellious teenage girl who lives on a ranch with her aunt and her family. This show was not on my radar when it first aired, which is understandable. I was like 7 years old and this was meant for older children. I do think it's time to give it another chance to see if it holds up. Then there's the Brothers Garcia, sort of like a Latina version of the Wonder Years. It features the life of the Garcia family, as narrated by John Leguizamo as the adult version of young Larry, the main character of the show. We see the life of Larry and his family and the day-to-day situations they get themselves into. The show had a decent run and even broke new ground as one of the few shows with all Latina cast and crew. It ended in 2003 with the TV movie Mysteries of Maya. Most recently, it was announced that the show was being revived as a sequel series, surprisingly, on HBO Max. Then there was No One Knows Best. Don't remember it? Well, you ain't missing much. Two new Nicktoons debuted this year, the short-lived Pelswick and As Told by Ginger. Pelswick was a show about a boy who's paraplegic and the day-to-day life he lives. It was based on the books by creator John Callahan, who's also paraplegic. The show had a very short run and didn't have much of a life in reruns, and Nickelodeon barely acknowledges it now. Though when you look at a premise at a paraplegic boy who wants to be treated like everyone else, today with more and more acceptance towards people with disabilities, it will probably work better if it was made today. Also, As Told by Ginger, the show about a teenage girl, Ginger Foutley, and her journey through middle and later high school. Much like Caitlin's Way, I remember finding this a bit boring when it first aired. Again, I was like 7. But watching it again, I really applaud how seriously it treated its young audience. The show handled heavy themes like peer pressure, addiction, parental abandonment, depression, the works, and not in a way that talks down to them either. Not to mention continuing storylines and having characters switch outfits in every episode. That was pretty unheard of at the time. This was another Nick show from the hit animation powerhouse Classic Shupo, and it ended its run in 2004. In addition, Nick still had their most popular shows on the channel, from animated hits like Rugrats, Hey Arnold, Cat Dog, Wild Thornberrys, Doug, Rocket Power, to live-action faves like All That, Keenan and Kel, The Amanda Show, Cousin Skeeter, and the 100 Deeds of Eddie McDowell. Another mainstay on the channel was Spongebob SquarePants, its second year on the channel, and the show was really starting to pick up in popularity. One of Nickelodeon's earliest and most controversial shows, Ren and Stimpy, returned to the network after a 2-year absence to air reruns in the summer. For much younger viewers, Nick Jr. had a whole lineup dedicated to preschoolers, with hit shows like Blue's Clues, Little Bear, Maisie, and Franklin, to then recent shows like Little Bear and Kipper. Blue's Clues was the most popular show on the block. It had a slew of merchandise, a live stage show, and a direct-to-video movie, both released that same year. It made host Steve Burns a household name. He was very popular with parents, especially moms. Introduced in 1994, the block's mascot / host was Face. He was a face. And he would often announce what was coming up and sing songs. He was voiced by Chris Phillips, who's best known as the voice of Roger Klotz in the Disney version of Doug. Debuting this year on Nick Jr. was Nevada's Maggie and a Ferocious Beast and Dora the Explorer. The latter takes place in a computer where a 7-year-old Latina girl and her friend, a monkey named Boots, takes young viewers on interactive journeys. The show will become another huge hit for Nick Jr. for years to come. From June to August, reruns of the PBS series Shining Time Station also aired on Nick Jr. in participation for the film Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Let's not forget the late night block Nick at Night, Nickelodeon's nighttime block that showed many classic sitcoms of the past. This is where I first saw sitcoms like I Love Lucy, Happy Days, The Brady Bunch, and Gilligan's Island. I'll never forget laughing my ass off watching Gilligan. New blocks and marathons include March 2 Mania, Nick at Night Block Party Summer, Nicktoons Afternoon Snack Pack, You Pick Monday, and SpongeBob's Nicktoons Summer Splash. The latter was a weekday afternoon block hosted by the cast of SpongeBob SquarePants, as they introduced 3-hour marathons of popular Nicktoons throughout the week. Monday would be Rugrats, Tuesdays would be Rocket Power, Wednesdays the Wild Thornberrys, Thursdays Hey Arnold, and Fridays Rocko's Modern Life, and later Cat Dog. It was a popular summer block on the network, replacing the previous year's Henry and June's Summer Jam, and would last until 2001. Nickelodeon wouldn't be complete without his popular Saturday night block, Snick. But there were some changes. You see, in 1999, Snick was revamped as the Snick House. It was hosted by Nick Cannon, one of the faces of the network at the time, as well as a cast member on All That. It took place in some Beverly Hills mansion with a DJ, and it featured appearances from celebrities and music groups who would usually perform, like NSYNC, the A-Teens, Baha Men, Y2K. The Snick House Pick of the Week was where viewers could go on Nick.com and choose their favorite video. And I have to admit, the commercial showing snippets of the videos was pretty much my first exposure to pop music. In July, Snick House was dropped, and Snick returned with all new bumpers and graphics. Special events. Well, in April, there was the 13th annual Kids' Choice Awards, hosted by Rosie O'Donnell, with performances by Jennifer Lopez, NSYNC, the Goo Goo Dolls, and Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey, with cameos from celebrities and Nick stars. Highlights include awkward David Arquette, Spongebob's first appearance at the awards, and whatever this is. Also, this year was infamous for having Rugrats win favorite cartoon, while Pokemon, one of the hottest things in the world at the time, was also nominated. I'm sure Pokemon fans took it well. Other notable events this year include Kids Pick the President, the Nick Takes Over Your School sweepstakes, and the LFO Nickelodeon All That Summer Tour. While other kids channels have movie blocks like Cartoon Network's Cartoon Theater and Disney Channel's Zoom Movies, Nickelodeon's Nickflix block ended early this year. Throughout the summer and fall, there were several made-for-TV movies based on the hit shows, such as reruns of the Caitlyn's Way movie Stray, to Animorphs movie Changes, the Journey of Alan Strange TV movie Alien Vacation, and premieres of Cousin Skeeter, New Kids on the Planet, Kenan and Kel, Two Heads Are Better Than None, Cat Dog, The Great Parent Mystery, and Rugrats, Acorn Nuts, and Diaper Butts. Let's go over these real quick. New Kids on the Planet has Skeeter, Bobby, Nina, and Skeeter's crush Nicole going to a space academy in Florida, and Skeeter, being Skeeter, gets the gang stuck on a planet after sneaking on a space shuttle. After watching it for the first time in decades, it's a lot weirder than I remember, with funny looking aliens, Dick Miller, and this plot about a Martian race who's planning to replace teens with alien clones. And I forgot how annoying Skeeter can get. Two Heads Are Better Than None is one of my favorite season finales ever. It has Kel stowing away on a Rockmore family vacation, and hijinks and spooky shenanigans ensue. It still has the typical Kenan and Kel humor, but what's interesting about this special is the more horror elements while still maintaining the comedy, not unlike Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. There's some jokes in this I'm surprised they got away with, and that image of the headless knight with the red light blaring in the background, that scared the crap out of me and stuck with me for years. There's also guest appearances from Michael Berryman from The Hills Have Eyes and legendary comedian Milton Berle, one of his final film roles. To talk about what happens in this movie is a mouthful, but I'm not going to spoil it. I recommend checking it out. Cat Dog, The Great Parent Mystery, features our two heroes on a quest to find their adopted parents. I always love these characters, and it's great to see them in anything, especially with the incredible voice work from Jim Cummings and Tom Kenny, and the two play off each other perfectly. And it's nice to see them finally have their happy ending as well. As for Acorn Nuts and Diaper Butts, taking place before the events of Rugrats in Paris, it features the babies going through many changes in their lives, especially with Chucky's dad, Chaz, moving on and dating after the death of his wife. Pretty standard Rugrats fare, but I think I love the heartwarming moments more, especially concerning Chucky and Chaz. All these movies premiered on Snick, with the characters hosting, and the following year will rerun in the summer as Saturday Night Nickflix. Another made-for-TV movie that aired was the long-forgotten Crybaby Lane, about two boys who befriend a local undertaker played by Frank Langella, of Masters of the Universe fame, who tells them ghost stories. He tells them a tale of two Siamese twins, one good, the other evil, who were buried by their father when they died. When one of the boys holds a seance in the cemetery where the good twin is buried, he accidentally wakes up the bad twin, who wreaks havoc on the town. The movie aired once around Halloween season on Snick, hosted by Clarissa herself, Melissa Joan Hart, and was forgotten for years and disowned by Nickelodeon, until they gained a reputation for being that scary movie that aired on Nick you forgot about. And many years later, it aired Halloween 2011 on the T-Nick block, The 90s Are All That. YouTuber Channel Surfer did a video on the history of the movie, so check this video out when you get a minute. Nickelodeon received a makeover in September with a new schedule as well as new bumpers. The "We'll Be Right Back" and "Coming Up Next" bumpers were now replaced by quick cuts of still images of the shows that aired, accompanied with wacky sound effects. This would last until 2002. Also around the same time, Nickelodeon would welcome their newest acquired show, Warner Bros. Animation's Pinky and the Brain. And boy oh boy, did they want you to know they nabbed the rights. But still, it's kind of cool they got Rob Paulson and Marisa Marsh for this promo.
I command you to come here to Nickelodeon to watch us, Pinky and the Brain, weekdays starting September 4th.
Pinky and the Brain, coming Monday, September 4th at 6, 5 Central, right here on Nickelodeon.
Hi, Mom! Narf!
Also throughout the year, Nickelodeon and its characters can be seen everywhere in kids media. Toys, games, promotion for kids meals, snack foods, video games like Nicktoons Racing, theme parks such as Universal Studios, as well as a new section at Paramount's King's Dominion called Nickelodeon Central, which ran from 2000 to 2009.
Kids have always ruled at Paramount's King's Dominion, and now our reign is even stronger because there are more ways to have fun than ever with the all-new Nickelodeon Central. You can drive your own car on the Rugrats Turnpike, visit Blue and solve some clues, and even eat at the Wild Thornberrys Explorer Cafe. So bring your whole family to King's Dominion, where there are 15 new rides and attractions this year.
And let's not forget Nick Magazine and Nick.com still going strong. Well, there you have it. Nickelodeon in the year 2000. It's been a lot of fun going through these old promos, commercials, and specials again. Almost as a weird time capsule. It's obvious I'm not Nickelodeon's target audience anymore, but I'm glad current generations of kids have a network they can call their own, just like I did. Got a favorite memory of Nickelodeon? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, I'm 47 Cartoon Guy, and I gotta fly. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to their channel, and click the bell icon for more updates. Coming up next, we'll be talking about the false third season of Scooby-Doo Where Are You? And conclude the Ed, Edd n Eddy retrospective. I'm sorry it took so long.